Hello everyone. Today we're going to be learning what are candidate moves and how do we use them. Now, how do we find them? To find candidates moves, first you need to check if your opponent is attacking your pieces. If your opponent is not threatening anything, then you can go on with the steps: checks, captures, and attacks. Now, in this position, for example, are there any checks? This is one check and this is one check, but this sacrifices the queen, and after pawn takes, there is not a good way to get an advantage. Well, we can capture this pawn into pawn, and after king into pawn, this king will be misplaced. But we need to calculate more moves to find if there are any other better moves than this move. Now, well, this is also a good option, but let's see for another moves. Like we calculated checks, now we'll calculate captures. This is one capture, but let's see other captures. This was also one capture, but we had discarded that option. Now, the other two are pawn takes pawn and rook takes pawn. Pawn takes pawn would simply be exchanged by the rook, and after rook takes, it will take by the bishop. But after rook takes pawn, this rook is kind of stuck here, and after rook takes, if we take with the pawn, then bishop can take. But here, after rook takes, it's another move, and here you again calculate checks, captures, and attacks. And after this check will not work because you simply already gave up a rook, so you have to try to get it back. Here, another check is queen takes e5. So after pawn takes the queen, we can take this rook, and now no one can stop this pawn from promoting. Let's play the moves and check it. Rook takes pawn. After rook takes, which is forced, we play queen takes e5. We sacrifice the queen. After pawn takes, if we take this rook, then he has no way to stop it. We are threatening to capture this knight also. For example, if we play queen h5 and stops this pawn from promoting, we can capture this knight and promote to a queen. And if he moves his knight, then we again promote to a queen, and we have gained this bishop here, and now we are material up. Now for the next example, black is giving us a check. So we cannot give checks because we are in check. We can't even capture anything because first we need to protect our king. So checks, captures, and attacks don't work here, and here we need to find a way to defend our king. Queen e8 is an option, but we can just take our pawn. If we promote to a queen, which looks like a logical move, he can give queen to f6 check. Well, if you block with this queen, then queen h8 again gives a check. And if you try to block with this queen, then we take this pawn. If you block with this queen, then there's this check. And you will always need to block checks from any side, whatever you want. And this will be a perpetual check, and it will end up in a draw, however way you take it. If you play this queen back, then this check comes. So it's going to be a repetition, and a draw is going to end up. So that means promoting to a queen is not an ideal option. And even queen e8 is not an option. So the other option left to protect our king is either to promote into another piece. If we promote to a rook, well, it's the same thing. Again, the perpetual check will keep coming, and it will end up in a draw. If we promote to a bishop, then the bishop is not doing anything here, and this will also end up in a draw. So the last option which is left is promoting to a knight, and here this blocks this check, and there is no checks for black. Now we are threatening queen into c7, and a knight and some pawns are enough to promote to another queen and win the game. So for our next example, here we are a queen down, and we should not hurry to promote to a queen. We should calculate the checks first. Bishop g7 is not an ideal check because his king can just hide, and there is nothing we can do. Another check is rook g8, which doesn't look useful, but we need to stop to calculate it. After king takes, if we get a rook in the game, it's going to be the same position as earlier, but we are going to be a rook down. After rook g8, king takes g8. Another check is h7. His king cannot hide because of the bishop. It has to go to f8. And what we realize is h8 queen is a checkmate. So instead of hurrying to promote a queen here, we can checkmate in 3 moves after rook g8. King takes, pawn push, king to f8, and pawn push queen is a checkmate. And we win the game straightforward. The next position is black to play, and white looks like he's the one who is attacking, but black's pieces are also trying to attack. Well, if this rook was not there, then rook g1 was a checkmate because the knight guards these 2 squares and the rook gives a check. But the rook is there, and there are no checks also in the position. Capture is also not available in this position. This capture doesn't look right because you're just giving your opponent chance to develop these pieces. Now we come to attacks. What can we attack here? Now we want to remove this rook. So how can we find a way to remove it? Now we don't want to exchange the rook because our rook is threatening rook g1 mate. Here we can calculate an attack to deflect the rook, that is queen h4. Well, if he captures, we have successfully deflected the rook and we'll play rook g1 checkmate. If he doesn't capture, we are threatening queen into h3. If white decides to give a check, then we just take with the rook and we are again threatening rook g1 and he has no way to stop it. So we are winning this position, and this is an example of attacks. Coming to the last position of the game, black pieces look very suffocated here and black's king is not very defended. Here, if we calculate checks, there is queen h5 and queen f3. Queen f3 will just get the piece developed. Queen h5 looks interesting here. He has to move his king. If he moves his pawn, then we just take it. And if he moves his king after queen h5, then we can trap his queen. But we need to also calculate our opponent's resources. Here, our queen is on h5 and our opponent can counter-attack our queen. And if we take his queen, then he'll take our queen. I'll show you in the moves. It's better to calculate without playing the moves, but I'll show you for now. And here, we counter-attack the queen. And it's going to be an equal position. So now we understand now checks are not working in this position. There is only one capture possible, but it will be an exchange of pieces. We come to attacks now, and attacks. Well, an attack, what can we attack? We cannot attack anything right now. But if we think of attacking in sacrifices, then knight e6 is attacking the queen and it's sacrifice. If king takes the knight, then we can play queen d5 check. His king cannot run back after king f6. Queen f5 is actually a checkmate. The king cannot escape anywhere. See, all the squares are covered by the queen and the pawn protects the queen. So now I hope you understood what are candidate moves and how to calculate chess moves. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like the video and subscribe to my channel. For now, bye bye.